Everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Is it rolling?
Yeah.
I love it when it rolls.
Let me just check. Okay, we're good. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Look who I'm with. It's Wandergasm. Thought we were going to be all cool and synchronised, but we weren't.
We're not in sync, I'm sorry.
So, a lot of the time when I've been away, I've been getting asked the same question, which is, how do I convince my parents that backpacking is a good idea? So there's a lot of you that want to go backpacking. Fair enough, of course you do. It's amazing. But your parents are like, nope, not happy about that.
Excuse me.
Not gonna happen.
You're not leaving
Stay
this house.
away. I want to reassure you, my parents did exactly the same thing. And did yours? No.
They don't care about me.
It's definitely a state of the parents' minds, like, it's a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
A lot of parents, because backpacking is a fairly new phenomenon, got much bigger on social media, and
sure.
There's so many more hostels, so many more backpackers, that's very new. So a lot of parents just have no idea about it, and they're very scared for their children to go. And so today, we are going to be trying to convince your parents that it's a good idea for you to go backpacking. This is part one, and that is the benefits of backpacking.
Yes.
Why you should go. Number one is learning practical skills that you can't at home. Since I've been away, I've learnt to snowboard.
What?
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I've got my own snowboard. I've learnt to scuba dive.
Don't have to drive on the wrong side of the road. That was great. I worked on some building sites, so like I learned some like manual labour skills, so like concreting, drilling stuff, like stuff that you'd use if, you know, if I came back home and wanted to work in a building site, would have those skills.
But you wouldn't think to learn that at home.
Oh
though.
no, I would probably never have worked in a building site here, like, but because you're travelling, you just want to get a job that's like
you just
easy
get
to pick
random
up.
opportunities and you take them,
Yeah,
and
of
then
course.
suddenly you've got this brand new skill.
Yeah, and photography, like I picked up a lot of photography skills. It's great, yeah, I've learned a lot of stuff, it's been good. Benefit number two is it looks great on your CV. Like if you go to apply for a job and they see that you've been travelling the world for a few years, you've been meeting different cultures, you've been working jobs here and there. You've got a lot more references to work from. They can see that you're a responsible person, I guess. They can see that you're a, not knowledgeable, what's the word? Experienced person. Like you're more of a developed human being,
And
right?
they're interested. If you get an interview with them and then you start talking about your travels, they're like, oh really? And then they'll ask you loads of questions. Well, they have in my experience anyway.
It beats like saying, oh, I've been living at home for the last 10 years.
Makes the interview a bit more upbeat, doesn't it?
Just makes it more fun, right?
Yeah. Benefit number three is that it makes you such a more open-minded, well-rounded person. You are meeting people from all kinds of different cultures. And even if when you first meet them, maybe you're wary, maybe you don't want to get to know them, over time, when you've been traveling for a while, you do get used to it and you become more respectful, you become more patient,
for sure.
And you find that it does change you in a way that you don't even realise it's happening until you would go home, and then you might speak to someone who you might not normally speak to and you think, whoa, like I wouldn't have done that before. So it really opens you out of it, makes you more open-minded.
More understanding as well. And benefit number four, which I think is especially true, is it makes you a lot more confident and independent. Like if you can leave home and go travel halfway around the world on your own and book hostels and flights and do all this other stuff on your own.
You've got balls of steel.
Yeah, you wouldn't normally have to do a lot of this stuff at home. Like if you're living at home, like you probably, I'm not judging anyone, like you probably get your laundry done, you get your cooking done for you, like you might even get dropped off and picked up to places. Like when you go traveling, no one's gonna do that for you. No. You have to learn it, and like you'll come home and it'll be like, oh man, I can do all this, I don't need you. No, it's really cool, it's great, and you're more confident in social settings as well. Like it's very, it's great.
Do you know what I found that I was better at?
What?
Talking to people on the phone. That's a really weird one, but before I hated calling up people. Like I just hated making phone calls to anyone. But after I went travelling, I'm suddenly okay with it. My mum's like, oh, can you call this place? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
I love talking on the phone.
I think it's a confidence thing.
Yeah.
And independence and benefit. Number five is you get a new passion for life in general. There's so many opportunities that you have abroad. You meet so many new people, are introduced to new experiences, and suddenly you want to sort of recharge, reset. It's almost like you go and you come back and it's the start of a new year and you're making all these resolutions, all these goals, because you've met all these people and you've done all these things which have essentially kind of changed you, or they've just inspired you and motivated you to get your ass moving. But you're not going to get that if you're doing a 9-to-5 job for the most part. In my experience, you're just sitting there.
Yeah, you're stuck in
it's just going,
Benefit number 6. You learn so many life skills.
You really do. This is a big one.
More savvy at life, like budgeting, saving, independence,
organising,
planning, logistics, patience, cooking, navigating,
using public transport in a foreign country.
And you also pick up loads of little language tidbits here and there, right?
Yeah, oh for sure.
I speak like lots of little rubbish bits of languages from all over the world now. You're forced to learn these things, right?
I think the most important one is probably like the saving, budgeting and organising, because you don't properly learn how to do that until you're put in a situation where you have to do that. You're challenging yourself, and that's how you're going to improve.
Yeah.
You also become a lot more street smart.
Say you're travelling through somewhere with like a lot of pickpockets or scammers. Southeast Asia has a lot of like scams going on, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whether you learn via the hard way or from other people telling you to be aware of these things, like you learn to pick up certain things, and like if you suddenly find yourself travelling through a rough area, you're like, oh man, okay, you notice things a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Like you could probably be in a lot of places
more wary.
now. Yeah, more aware of what signs there are to like,
essentially.
to avoid, streetwise, right? You might join a gang. Benefit number 8, makes you a lot more relaxed. Like when you travel and you meet new people and you kind of leave behind all the worries you had at home, you kind of learn to realise what's worth prioritising and what isn't.
What's really important.
Yeah.
You're not sweating the small stuff. Going back to the previous point, you're challenging yourself. You're putting yourself in situations you're not normally in.
And you learn what you can live without. Like when you're travelling, like, there's all these things you think are important, you don't need.
Minimalist lifestyle. Because you're not stressing about all these different tiny little things that doesn't actually matter. That don't actually matter. You can just become more...
so Australian then. Don't actually matter. And the next benefit is you appreciate your family a lot more. Because you're away from them for however long, you kind of realise all the things that they were doing for you now that they're not doing it. And you're like, oh man, like, I appreciate these people, you know? And I'm not saying you have to miss them or be homesick, but it's just realising, you know? It
makes it so much better when you come back. Because you will come back home eventually, I hope, to see your family. The things that you take for granted normally when you're back home, it doesn't happen when you're away. And so you go back and you're like, oh, you do this for me. This is really nice. And that's really nice for them as well, because it makes them feel even more appreciated and they're happy to see you home. Benefit number 9, you have a chance to start anew. If you have a life back home that's, maybe you've done a lot of embarrassing things, maybe you're ashamed of some of the things that you have done when you're back home, when you go travelling, no one knows you, absolutely no one. And that's one of the beauties of it, because you can completely start afresh, start anew. There may be parts of you that you've done in the past that you want to let go of, and you can, and no one knows about that. You can be whoever you want to be. I'm not saying you need to be fake or stop being you.
You grow up, right? But if you stay in the same place, no matter how much you grow up and change, people will always see you as the old person you were, right?
Yeah.
And if you travel, like, people see you as the new person you are.
And that increases your confidence as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it's made me so much more confident for that respect.
Next benefit is you become way more social, especially if you're traveling alone. Like, you're kind of forced to approach strangers and make friends with them, whether that's in a hostel, at a bar, or just eating breakfast, you know. I became more friendly, but then I'm a very like confident, loud, annoying person anyway. So I probably would have done that anyway, but still, like, when you travel, you're in a different mindset. Like, everyone's there to meet people, like, especially in hostels, like, you can just sit down on a couch and someone will come sit next to you and be like, who are you? And they'll become your friend, like they'll come chat to you because they don't know who you are and you look interesting, right? Yeah. And
it's not like being at home. If someone comes up to you at a bar at home, for the most part, you probably think they're hitting on you. If it happens whilst you're traveling, that's probably not the case. They just want to be friends, they just want to hang out, and that's great. It increases your confidence again. Everything's linking back to confidence and independence. It's linking to that point. You make friends who live all over the world. So backpackers come from absolutely everywhere. I have backpacking friends who live in America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, even some who live in like Thailand, China, Japan, pretty much everywhere in the world. So it means that whenever you go traveling to wherever their hometown is or wherever their home country is, you've got somewhere there to stay.
Yeah, it's great. It's
Free
the best
accommodation.
thing ever. Free tour
really
guide
cool.
as well. When you visit that place, you have a tour guide because they'll love to show you around their hometown, right? So the next benefit is you'll be introduced to experiences and opportunities you may never have known existed or have been introduced to if you hadn't have travelled. So I moved to Canada recently and I worked in a studio there, which never would have happened here in London. I wouldn't have had the connections. And that's just because I travelled. The most things that happen would be like last minute pure luck. So I was like, hey, do you want to come do this for like a weekend? And you're like, yes. And it's something you'd never do at home or even think to do, right?
Yeah, like job opportunities that or people tell you what their job is or what their job was back home and you're like, wait, what? I didn't even know you could do that. You can make money from doing something like that.
100%.
And the final benefit, not limited to these, but the last one that we're going to mention today is it's fun. Traveling's fun. You explore new places, you meet new people, you're trying whole new things, you're challenging yourself. It's so much fun. So you're gaining all these skills, you're getting all these benefits, and you're having fun. And it's good for your CV. What more could you want, parents? What more could you want for your child? Your dear child who just wants to be inspired, motivated, and have this nice life. Let them travel. And what do they say? Like the thing that people regret the most?
The things they didn't do.
So we'll end on that. If that hasn't convinced you enough, parents, that your child is allowed to go backpacking, we will be addressing your fears in part 2. So make sure you are subscribed to my channel and to Wandergasm's channel.
We filmed a video over on my channel with Christy where we talked about 5 tips for first time travellers, which is also a great little video to watch if you are thinking of going backpacking for the first time.
For sure.
Yeah.
So make sure you go watch that. We'll link it here
Yes.
and there. Make sure you subscribe and we'll see you in the next